Okay, how we doing? Saturday, April 23rd, 2016, Rich Van Tassel channel. We're giving you the recap of the Toronto Raptors against the Indiana Pacers Game 4. The Pacers coming out on top by 17 to even the series up at 2. We're going to start with Indiana for this one because what's very interesting and very positive for the Pacers coming out of this one was that Paul George, that is, was not the leading scorer. They had a fairly balanced attack, at least through their starters. Their bench, solid, but not great, and some of the bench points came in late in the game and garbage time. But we talked about Toronto, that is, against Indiana over the past 2 games, trying to shut down everyone else and allow Paul George to beat them. Well, today everyone else beat them, and Paul George had a good game, 19 points, but only 6 of 16 shooting, 1 of 4 from downtown. Jan Mahimi, in 33 minutes, had 22 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals and a block, completely filled the stat sheet up. 9 of 14 shooting, 4 of 5 at the line. George Hill, 22 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 9 of 11 shooting, 2 of 4 from downtown. The 3-point shooting for both teams was very similar, 6 of 16 for Indiana, 8 of 30 for the Toronto Raptors. It was 37.5% for Indiana to 26.7%, but Toronto, that is, made 2 more. Toronto only shot 36%, 36.5% to Toronto's 47%. Now, Toronto came out slow. We're going to get into them in just a minute. They never really were able to gain footing. They hung around a little bit in the second half. Were within 12, 13 points, but just couldn't get the run. Every time they got close, Indiana put it away. DeMar DeRozan, 8 points on 4 of 15 shooting. Kyle Lowry, 12 points on 4 of 12 shooting. Lowry was not too bad. DeMar DeRozan, though, we've really got to start to look at. Thus far, this series has put up 14, 10, 21, and 8. 5 of 19 Game 1, 5 of 18 Game 2, 7 of 19 in Game 3, 4 of 15 in Game 4. He's shooting not even 30% for the series. So, Kyle Lowry is another story as well. Gonna look at him. He has been playing a little bit better of late, but certainly he's not really extending himself to the level he needs to be for this team to advance. There's been a lot of talk with these guys, and they're simply just not getting the job done. We look at Lowry, 11, 18, 21, and 12. 3 of 13, 4 of 13, 8 of 21, 4 of 12 in today's game. He's shooting 32%. Now, he's been going up. He was going up every game from 23 to 31 to 38%, then came back down to 33%. 4 of 12 is not terrible, though. So, these guys have got to get it together. And as we discussed, with Indiana winning this game the way they did, it's one thing if Paul George carries you to a Game 1 victory. It's another where you shut down, or you attempt to shut down everyone else, and they're still able to beat you anyway. This series is going to come back to Indiana no matter what. They're going to play Game 6 there. Toronto, we know how much pressure is on them. The longer this series goes, the more pressure is on them. Game 5 is going to have a tremendous amount of pressure on the Toronto Raptors, and this is really where Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan have got to step up. You would hate to see it go back to 7 in Toronto, but Game 5 is incredibly important for this team. And Indiana is playing with house money. And again, we saw Paul George, what he was able to do in Game 1. And the longer you play, the more likely it is he'll have another big game like he did in Game 1. Could it be you don't want it to be Game 7. You would hate to have it be Game 5 or Game 6 or any of them. But, hey, it's just playing with fire. Toronto, they've created this monster for themselves. Let's see what they can do. I still think they're the better team. I still think they'll win this series. But even so, we look at Indiana, and this has not been a normal Eastern Conference season as we discussed. They were 45-37 in the regular season. But a lot of pressure is on the Toronto Raptors, especially in this Game 5. So we'll see what happens. We got Miami and Charlotte right now. Once that game is done, we'll give you a recap of that. And we'll see you a little later. Thank you all so much.